Oh, good. It's halftime. So I'm trying a new microphone thing. So real quick, Andy and Tyler, so you're here, and Jonathan, let me know what you think. So this is the vocal mic. Does it sound fine? Can you hear me fine? The volume should be okay. But does it sound okay? And then I'm gonna start playing. I got two mics set up this time. This is my lapel mic that I'm talking into, and then I have two mics set up. So I have one mic close and then one mic in the room, and this is what that's gonna sound like. Dude, I didn't know Megan was watching too. What's up, Megan? How's it going? Isn't it so cool you can see me where you're at? All right. So I'll give 2 minutes of hang time. While we're doing that, check this out. Hello? All right. Oh. All right. You should be able to hear me now. For any of those viewers that are around at the very end, I will screen a movie that Andy and I made. Tyler, I hadn't set up the lapel mic on this particular setup. So anyway, we have this website, Peeling Back the Layers, to find out what makes great musicians great. And we have where you can find everything right here. Just click these links, and it takes you right to so you click iTunes, it takes you right to where you can subscribe, which if you haven't subscribed, you should totally do that. See, because I don't release an incredible often, 2 times per month, so you want to stay up on it. We have some recent blog posts here. And then down here, you can follow me on social media right here. Can you see my mouse? We have a nice little quote. We become what we want to be by consistently being what we want to become. Cool. And then so you can click up here in the top right. I'm covering that up. No, I'm not. Up here in the top right, we also have links. And then we have my blog. You can search on the blog for anything you want. We have my Facebook page, my Instagram, and then my blog. I'm going to have something for each episode, and it's not going to be anything, too lengthy. It'll just be some thoughts I would have had about that particular episode, and then anything that might be able to go with it. So I have a practice template right here for how to practice Petrushka. So like you click on it, so you get to read all that stuff. And then basically this, if you follow this right here, you would be able to have all of the tempos and everything for Petrushka when you play it. And so you don't really have to like think about it too much. And we have an about section. So yeah, I had some help putting together this website. I'm pretty proud of this website. And I just wanted to show it off a little bit for anyone who wants to check it out. Patrick already linked it, but we have that'snotspit.com for anybody who's interested. So I appreciate everybody joining me, even though Andy said it's halftime, so I'll try to get some good quality stuff in before halftime is over. So it looks like I did actually write down my practice. This is what I'm going to practice this whole live stream, the percentages and the amount of times. And so it looks like I'm going to start with the opening recitative section, which is up here. And it mostly is this thing right here. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. It's going to be checking this B flat to the D sharp, to D flat, B flat to D flat, so I can make sure I figure this out. This is one of the most, it's difficult to do this and be delicate and touchy, so I'm going to slur it a couple of times, and then I'm going to try to practice it tongued a couple of times. So I'm going to warm up just a little bit more, and then we're going to get going. The other reason I'm going to put it at the top at the beginning of my practice session is because that's when you're going to be the most fresh. So for anybody who feels like they practice things and they get to the high sections or something like that, and they are too tired to do it, there's no sense in starting a piece at the beginning and running it all the way through. If you know you're going to struggle with something later on in the piece, you might as well start with that so you can get some good repetitions. So here's my attempt at that. So good. What I'm finding when I do this is that I'm not always supporting on the D flat. I'm not always blowing through it. And so it's very important that I do that because it always goes well when I do that, which it's kind of funny. If we support with our air, our trumpet playing goes pretty well. It's kind of funny how that works. So I'm going to do it 2 times with the tongue to see if I can coordinate these 2 notes. Okay, that's that. Again, for anybody who hasn't, all right. So I'm gonna lose some football fans here, but that's all right. I'll be going. If you hit any commercials and you want to join me instead of watching the commercials, which is probably the best idea possible, I'll be here for the next hour. So, I did it slurred more times than I did it tongued because that's really what I want it to what I want it to sound like. And I'm okay with that. For anybody who's here that might not watch very often, it may not seem like it's a lot of repetitions for me to, or a lot of times through to play it and feel good about it. But honestly, if I only do it right, I only know how to do it right. And so I'm really trying to display that with this live stream and for everyone to watch every note that I play so you guys can see that it can work like that. So we're just going to do a couple repetitions here of the end. I wrote 4, but I may not do that many. Metronome. So we have 144. Let's go 80% tempo, 116. And we'll get a couple of repetitions here at this. We're going to start. We'll get a little bit more here because it's faster. So we'll start here at the forte, and we'll go all the way to 38. That's all right, Professor. I appreciate you stopping by. Well, that wasn't very good at all. I'm glad that you could see that. Let's try to. There we go. That was a lot better. Now I'm not going to do the end anymore. I'm just going to go 37 to 38 2 more times, and then I'm going to move on. We'll get a nice little break. Resting when playing high stuff is super important. It'll be like trying to bench press your 1 rep max, and then without any rest, laying back down under it again, and then trying to do it again. Nobody would do that because that makes perfect sense that you probably wouldn't be able to do your maximum effort bench press immediately after doing your maximum effort bench press. So we need to get some blood back in the chops, some amount of strength back so we can get good repetitions going when we do it. So that went really well. I'm really happy with that, and I don't need to do any more of that. We're going to move on to the last section here that's high, and so I need to do it early on. We're going to run 23 to 24. I'm going to do it without an accelerando 1 time so that I can really make sure I hear. I'm going to do it without an accelerando and slurred so I can make sure I hear all these intervals, and then I'll play it. What did I write? I wrote 2 times. With the tempos that I'm going to go. So I'm going to try out 2 different mutes too. So as I'm doing it, I'll show you the mute. For anybody that's listening, I would love your input on which mute you think sounds more appropriate, because I'm kind of having trouble figuring out which mute I should use. So here's the slurred version. And I'm going to start out with this Trumcore metal mute. Okay, so now we're going to do the 2 times tongued. Normal, just trying to play it normally because it's not too fast. Again, the Trumcore metal mute, and then we're going to do the Bach black mute. And I would love any input on which mute sounds better. Vote now. I'm a little preferential to the metal mute, but I also am trying to consider what would make this better. What would make a better moment for the softer stuff? And the metal mute wouldn't buzz as much. Now we have those wick mutes, but they're so hard to play in the upper register that I feel that it's not really a good gamble. So, yeah, I think so too, Corey. Anybody else who has any opinion, just lay it out there. I would love to hear what you have to say. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go straight through the piece in order. I think this is probably for me the easiest and kind of most fun thing to do, so we can feel that we're starting to put this piece together. I've been practicing it out of order and all over the place based on what I need to be able to play. So I thought, you know what? Let's do it in order this time. So we have 3 to 7, 3 times at 80% tempo. So our tempo there is 116. So 80% of that, 93 beats per minute. Thanks, Jesse. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks for stopping by. And we're going to go, I'll go 3 to the end of the page, and then I'll move the part. All right, time number 1. That felt really wonderful. We're just going to do it again. Time number 2. Cool. Time number 3. It's kind of funny, actually. The trumpet feels pretty good right now because I think I'm just in really good shape from playing The Rite of Spring and Carmina Burana this week. So it's kind of nice. So now we're going to go measure before 5 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 after 6. Same tempo. Thanks, Ryan. I really appreciate that. Also, great name. Great name. The best name. Cool. That felt really good. So we're going to do it 2 more times. Okay, so that went really, really well. It's nice to be able to play up into the 80% now. We're getting closer to the end, closer to the time that it is to perform this piece. So it's nice, like I said, to be able to play some of this at the tempo. So next section is going to be 100 beats. It's going to be what's written 126. 80% of that is 100 beats per minute. And I'll play to the end of the page. Can I get the whole thing in there? No. All right. So I'll play to the end of the page, and then we'll finish off this section 3 times. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. I bet that was very, very loud. All right, time number 3 from 7 to just after 9. Okay. Okay. Top of the page to 11. We'll finish this section up. Cool. I'm gonna take a little break, make sure my chops don't blow out here, but it's going pretty well, I think. These little triplet figures are a little more annoying than they look. So for me, every time I get to every time I get to one of those triplet things, I'm trying to think air, focused, focused, focused air, going straight through the front of my chops into my bill. Nothing else. Let's see if that works again. All right. Next section is 3 times 15. Sorry, oh my gosh, I'm getting ahead of myself. 12 to 15 at 3 times at 80% tempo. So we're at 146 times 0.8 is 117. I'm going to try this mute, this Trum Core mute again. Now, I like this mute, and I like the way that it plays, but I'm not always a fan of the way that it, or lack thereof, of the buzz that it doesn't have, as compared to a Wick mute. So I'm going to try this one because my Wick mute is in my car, and I've been wanting to try other mutes just to try to figure it out anyway. So same thing as before. If you're listening and you think that this mute sounds pretty good or bad, I'd love any comments so it can help me figure out what I'm going to do with that. did I leave the mute on, the thing, mic on again? I actually think that sounds pretty good. So I'm going to go with this mute for a little bit longer. All right, one more time on that, and then we'll move on. Yeah, I feel like it's actually a lot clearer than the Wick mute, which is weird. But everything about this mute is easier to play. So for the time being, I think this is going to be the mute choice I'm going with. So, all right. So 3 times at 80% that section. So we're going to move on to this, the triple tongue. So as you can see, for anybody that's just joining, I have my practice session all mapped out here. The nice thing about this is I'll be able to come back next week and be able to just increase the percentages a little bit here and there. So just like if you were working out and you kept a logbook of, on bench press, I hit 3 sets of 8 at 135 pounds. Then next week you could try to hit 3 sets of 8 at 145 pounds, or maybe 3 sets of 9 at 135 pounds. If you kind of keep a log of where you're at, it makes the progression a little bit more steady, probably because you're not having trouble remembering, what did I do last week? I can't remember. So what I have written here is 2 times at 85% for the triple tonguing section. So what is 85% of 114? 97 beats per minute. Cool. So I have written 2 times for this section. So I'm going to play the whole page, rest a good bit, and then play the whole page again. All right, so the first part of it is great because my chops feel good. And I keep forgetting to practice this earlier in the practice session because I'm thinking of all the high stuff. And every week I say, I should start with this section. So I'm going to write it down right now. We're going to write a little line. And it says, let's see, 12 to 15. We're going to do 4 times at, we're going to do 70%, 75%, 80, 85%. We're going to work on that section, actually. It's not hard finger-wise, but I seem to struggle with getting it done. So on this particular run of it, I'm going to start at 18 and go to 19, and then go back to the top and go to 18, just so I can get some good repetition on at 18. All right, so not bad. That's all I'm going to do on that section. Like I said, I'm going to start with that on the next week, so I'm super fresh, and I have the ability to make some progress on that. I'm going to start on that when I start my practice. So now I have written 25 to 30, 2 times at 65% and 75%. So I'm going to do 1 repetition at 65, 1 repetition at 75. So what is that? 128 times 0.65, so 84. So 84 and 96. There we go. Okay, there's a very good chance that when I run this again, I'm going to mess up 27 in the measure after 27. So after I get done doing this run, I'm going to play that very slow, like 50% tempo. I'm going to do it slurred 2 times. I'm going to do it tongue 2 times because I'm tired of messing that up. Christy, what's up? Hope you're doing well. I'm really enjoying following all of your adventures all over the world, which is crazy. I'm sure you have some great stories to tell. I appreciate you stopping by. This is a cool idea. Are you only practicing during this? Yes. So the Jolivet, this is week 9, and so I've practiced every Sunday night for 1 hour or so. Sometimes a little bit less, sometimes never more, but sometimes a little bit less, depending on how the practice session goes. And it's basically to expose. This is how I personally practice. Some of my live streams are on, I might be able to get them and re upload them, but some of them are on a different page because I was experimenting with having a professional page, so to speak, and it just got really weird. And I was like battling, I don't know, I don't think people knew about it and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, that's the idea. So you should be able to find the first session on this page, and then starting, I think 3 or 4 weeks ago, you should be able to find it. So we missed like this chunk of like slow practice, but it's all there somewhere. I'm thinking about maybe uploading all of them to YouTube after the fact, so they're all kind of located in one spot. But yeah, the idea, I guess, is to do it so everybody can watch it. We can have conversations about practicing. I know it's not the most exciting conversation, but I'm trying to make it as interesting as possible because I've become obsessed with trying to find the most efficient way to practice, and some of my powerlifting background has helped me with that. And so yeah, I hope that answers your question. I hope you're doing well. All right, one more part. We got to get the end. 31 to 35. I'm back in Oki now, but thanks. Yeah, the archives are really cool to see. If you can't recover them, no worries. I'll try to catch them from here on out. Yeah, I should be able to find. I'm pretty sure they're there. I just deactivated the page that they're on, but they should be there. And I think once I have them all done, it would be cool to upload the whole entire thing, so you could the whole entire progression was there. So, yeah. All right, we got to do the end now. So it looks like I can get the whole thing on the screen. I hope everybody can see it just fine. Maybe I can even make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, all right. So it's a whole page. Here we go. Same tempo. We're going to do, no, 2 times it. So 1 time at 65% and 1 time at 75%. So we're going back to 84. And here we go. And at 96, and then this will be the end of the practice session, and I'll go over kind of what my plans are for the rest of it. Let's do the end just for funsies at tempo. Well, there you guys go. I went ahead and ended. I could have ended the practice session sounding really great, but I got greedy and I went ahead. I just didn't sound good, and I guess that's fine. I mean, I shouldn't have done that, but as we can tell, the majority of the repetitions I did on this particular practice session are going to help me be able to sound better. So, does anybody have any questions about anything I've gone over up until this point? Because I'm just going to go straight across with my plans for the next 3 weeks. There's a good chance I'll skip Super Bowl. Well, I'll put a poll out and see, but I wouldn't like to skip Super Bowl, so maybe I'll stream earlier in the day on that particular one. So, because I know I'm not going to be able to compete with that. So, I'll put a poll out or something. Anyway. So my plans for the rest of the thing, this is week 9, so I have 10, 11, and 12. I have 3 more weeks left, and then I'm going to perform the Jolivet. That was kind of the idea behind this whole thing, was not necessarily to say I'm going to do this for as long as it takes to learn the Jolivet, but I thought it would be really nice, or at least nice for me, so I'm not doing this for 6 or 10 months or whatever, but to pick an amount of time. So 12 weeks. 12 practice sessions, and then say this is what is realistically possible. I think, at least for me, this is something that's realistically possible to do in 12 weeks, and then to display it, right? So there's no trickery, there's no camera editing, there's no nothing. It's just this is what I'm capable of doing, and again, I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. A big reason is just to expose the process, but certainly I've learned an incredible amount already about my own practice and, playing in front of a camera and speaking to an audience that's not there. It's definitely a weird thing to do, but I feel like I've become more comfortable with it. So just going after learning a new skill, right? I just want to learn something new. It's part of the reason I started a podcast. I'm kind of all about that right now. And the skills I'm learning through this, I feel are going to be able to serve me very well no matter what I'm doing. So in terms of music, though, obviously I'm trying to have an open dialogue about practice and stuff. So for anybody who's watching at this moment right now, if there's ever any questions, just leave a comment. Whether you're watching right now live or you're watching after the fact, because I know a lot of people do that. Leave a comment if you have any questions. This is like kind of the fun part for me, is to get to help or something like that, and I'm always willing to do that. For example, Bob Luther has said, I've noticed sometimes that you are quite tired when you get to the end of some of these sessions. Not today. Can you elaborate on what you think about when you push through fatigue and when you... Yeah, I can absolutely elaborate. That's actually something I've learned from this process a little bit. Playing on fatigue chops, I think, has a time and a place, but it needs to be done very carefully. So endurance is something that everybody wants to learn how to do, and it's a pretty important thing. And the only way you're really going to work on it and be able to have more endurance is to kind of push your ability to have endurance, right? So I think when you do that, though, you can't do it in extreme circumstances. Playing something like the Jolivet for an hour is not the way to learn how to have endurance. Me doing this, being able to play the Jolivet for an hour, is a display of my endurance. It's not how I learned to be able to do this. Now, for me specifically, a lot of my endurance came because I play first trumpet on everything with the Alabama Symphony. So there's some shows where I'm on my teeth and it hurts and it sucks, but I come back stronger the next day. And I take time off. When I need to take time off, I take time off. So That's the first step is when you're going to work on it. It can't be in extreme circumstances. Try playing Arbin exercises for without much rest for a long time, right? So you can work on endurance without playing in the stratosphere. Just reduce the amount of rest you take and make it purposeful. Say, I'm going to play for basically a minute straight. And then the next week, maybe work on endurance 4 days a week and say, I'm going to play at some point for 1 minute straight. And then the next week, a minute and 15 seconds straight. The next week, a minute and 30 seconds straight, right? And so what would it take? It would take 1 month to get 1 minute. So after 1 year of doing this very purposefully, if you were able to progress linearly, you'd be able to play for 12 minutes straight. Now, that's like a somewhat useful skill, but we'll never be asked to do that. We'll never be asked to play for 12 minutes straight. So realistically, if you can play a long etude, like a long Charlier or something like that, that's going to be able to benefit you. So pick a Charlier that's difficult for you to do, or pick an etude. It doesn't have to be a Charlier. Pick an etude that's difficult for you to get through, but you can do it. And then separate from that, work on extending the amount of time you can keep the horn on your face, right? That's how I would work on it. Now, when you're in the middle of a session and you have fatigue, basically you have one of two options. You can just quit, which is not a bad option, but especially if you're practicing in a way that the work you had done previous to that is benefiting what you're going to do. If you plan to practice for 30 minutes, but after 15 minutes you're shot, if those 15 minutes were really quality practice time, it just doesn't matter. You made yourself better in that 15 minutes. So we have to break ourselves free from, I have to practice a certain amount or a certain amount of time or a certain amount of material, and start getting into what I do with my practice time matters more. And a way I can relate this really well would be in the gym, of course. That's always what I would say. Say you're like, I have a 30 or a 60-minute workout, and this is the thing I do all the time. But then one day you have something where you want to do your workout, but you only have 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Like, you're not just going to say, well, I'm not going to work out. You're just going to get as much done as you possibly can in that time. Or if you're in the middle of a workout and you feel especially beat up, that's your body saying stop. That's your body saying it needs to rest. And so similarly, when we're in the practice room, if your face is so beat up, that's your face saying it's time to rest. And you got to listen to your face. But I think it's easier to walk away if you feel confident that the work you've done up until that point is quality work. If you don't feel that way, you're going to feel, oh man, I got to push through this. I got to keep practicing. I got to keep playing, because if I don't, I'm not going to get anything done in this session. And that's something I've learned from this, is it's easier for me to walk away at the end of the session and say, I just can't do this right now because I've gotten a lot of work done. And then so you say, all right, I'm working on this. I want to be able to work on this, but I can't. So I will come back tomorrow when I'm fresh, and I will start with that. And with that mentality as well, then you can at least say, all right, I have a plan, right? And having a plan is everything, I think. So if you're going to push through, do it with relatively low impact things, and do it for the express purpose of maybe increasing or trying to work to increase your efficiency. Your endurance, rather. Sorry. But generally speaking, if you're trying to play a solo and your face is just so beat up that you can't do anything, I would just quit. I would play scales. I would play things that are going to make you a better player that you can do in that moment, and then come back to that section the next day. Hopefully does that fully answer your question, Bob? I feel like that was like a 5-minute answer. I just went on a thing there. So I'll keep going with my plan. My plan is now I'm going to run the entire piece at 85% tempo next week. 85% of every tempo. So I'm going to get those down so I know what they are, and I'll run the entire piece. The next week, I'm going to run the entire piece at 90%. And then the next week, 95%. So I'm going to start pushing the tempo. So at the beginning of every stream, for the next 3 streams, I'm going to run the Jolove. After that, I will assess what I need to work on based on that, because now I need to start targeting what things are lacking, because there are some things I probably can play pretty close to tempo, and so I need to be able to know where to spend my time right now. And there's no better way than practicing the thing under tempo and seeing where things don't go well. So that's going to be my plan for that. So like I said, 85% tempo next week, 90% tempo the stream after that, and 95, and then I'll run it. I'll get my face on there because we're done with the music. I'm going to get in touch with, let's tag her right now. Becca Zeiss. Becca Z. Oh, I gotta send it. I'm gonna get in touch with her. She showed me a program or a website or something like that that might make it so she can accompany me while she's in Lubbock, Texas, and I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, which would be pretty cool. Just to experiment with it and to see what would happen. And so I'm going to shoot for that. I'm going to shoot for actually having piano accompaniment when I play it on week 13. So you want to mark that in. I don't know when that's going to be for sure, but when that happens, I'll make a big announcement about it and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I thought there was one more thing I was going to say, but anyway, for the people that are here that might not have seen this, I just wanted to draw attention because it's, a little bit of shameless promotion, like I was saying at the beginning. That's Not Spit.com is my website. I just recently reformatted a little bit. So on the homepage now, you just click iTunes. And when you click on it on your phone, it takes you right to it. I have 2 episodes out right now. Spotify will do the same thing. It'll take you to the episodes on Spotify. And this is a project I'm incredibly excited about. And as most people know, I've been talking about this a lot. Over here on my blog, this is where... So I have the Demondre Thurman was my first interview. And so I wrote, just a little bit of thoughts. It's not long, just some thoughts about why I thought it was a great interview, talking about it was my first interview, so I was kind of nervous a little bit, but ultimately ended up being a great interview. The second one, and then I left if you click here, Demondre Thurman episode 1, every single episode I'm going to have a Spotify playlist. I got to open that in a different window, but I'll have a Spotify playlist. So here's a CD that I linked. So if you want to hear Demondre, you can do that here. And then for my second episode, continue reading. And I talked about the story behind getting music into my solo episodes, and just how that ended up happening. Some links to Empire Springs to their, and then you can go Empire Springs episode 2. And here's the album that I got the music in that episode from. So when you listen to it, you'll hear the music. This is the album I got it from, in case you're interested in that kind of thing. So this is like basically my website. Ideally should be the place you go because that's where you can get all the information. I have links to my social media at the top and the bottom. You can check it out here on the side too. So Becca, I tagged you because I was saying I really want to try to get that for you to accompany me when I play the Jolivet for real. And we should just try to figure it out, get it together and work and figure it out, whatever we got to get to make it happen. So maybe in the next couple of weeks, we can start to experiment with it. So that's my website. That's notspit.com. You can find all the information you need there. And yeah, just like, we should just try it out. And, if I need to buy headphones or something like that, I can do that. But that should be cool. So anyway, I'll stick around for another couple minutes here to see if anybody has any other questions. But if not, this has been really fun for me. I've enjoyed this stream. I feel like I'm getting better at the Jolivet. I'm actually kind of surprised that I'm able to play it well. I haven't worked on it for an incredibly long time. This is now 9 hours of practice, and I feel like I'm able to do it. But I've really embraced, especially practicing for people, I've really embraced doing everything the right way, and I'm even being surprised with how well that's going. So, if anybody has any questions, let me know. If not, we will go ahead and end the stream. I am going to go. Let's see. I gotta go to the bathroom. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining. If instead of ending, Tyler, I don't. Switch to Ghosts and Ghouls. I'm not set up for that right now, but I'm not against it in the future. Bob, I switched it up. You were right. It was weird, but we switched it up. We made a different story out of it, and we're doing another cut, and I'll send it to you. And then when it's ready, I'll premiere it on live stream. How about that? All right, everybody. I appreciate you very much. Thank you for the support. Thank you for being here. It means a lot to me. And as always, I will see you here next week. I'll make another poll. If 7 o'clock is a better time, I'll just do it at 7 o'clock. But thanks everybody for joining, and that'll be all. Have a good night. We'll see you next week.